2012 Solar Challenge is a huge step up from the 2010 event, in which only 5 cars took part. This year's race will have over a dozen competitors, including more locally built cars.
We've certainly seen a lot more of the South African universities step up to the plate and build very, very competitive cars. In the Olympia class category, which is the FIA category, it's the four-wheelers. It's only South African teams. There's certainly 3 cars that look very competitive for first, second and third in that class of vehicle.
These are teams mostly made up of undergraduates who, using their own time and their own knowledge, have put together these cars. And sure, they may be really just using them as test platforms for this race, but we're building up a body of knowledge amongst our engineering students that will be enormously valuable in the years to come. In Wits University's Faculty of Engineering, with only a few weeks left to the start of the race, it seemed that there was still a lot to be done. Bradley, you've got about 6 weeks to go. You've been through the design, which was the difficult bit, but what is the bit now that is keeping you up at night?
It's getting the car rolling. We need a rolling chassis. Once we have our rolling chassis, we can get all the electronics assembled. The body is basically finished. The thing is, you can do the design, but as you go along, you come across new things that you don't expect. You can't see everything. I mean, it's a car. There's so many little parts. And now at the moment, right now, that is bothering me are the hubs on this to get the driving mechanism working properly. And then from there, there's not too much after we've got this car rolling.
The car was planned and designed on computer with the help of a computer-aided design package. So how well does what appears here on the screen translate into real life?
That's one of the harshest lessons I think we've had to learn. At the beginning, we had lots of CAD drawings, things were looking amazing. We had the whole car assembled, everything done, ready to be made. And as soon as we actually even started making the car at all, we started making the chassis. And on the drawings, we had it made it out of round tubing, because theoretically, round tubing is actually stronger. But in practice, making round tubing ended up being quite a task. So we ended up scrapping the entire chassis, which was actually partially made, and started making the chassis from scratch out of square tubing. So that meant that all the CAD drawings basically had to be redesigned.
The Wits team's expectation for the race seemed to be more cautious than competitive.
We built the car quite solid. It's probably a bit heavy, but for a first car, you rather have something that can plot along and hopefully finish the race than something that might just break on the way that you can't fix. So I would like to be able to at least keep up with some of the international cars and finish the race.
Well, we wish you all the luck, and we'll be following you very, very closely indeed. And in fact, as a Wits student myself, I can tell you this is the team that I'm going to be putting my covers to. My loyalty to Wits was challenged on my arrival at the University of Johannesburg just down the road, when I saw an already operational model of one of 3 cars that UJ are entering. In terms of the design and the process of building the car, were there areas that surprised you as to how difficult they were or unexpectedly complex?
Without a doubt. I mean, the design, we sat for months with it and we thought, okay, it's a pretty good design, and then we started putting it together and things just weren't working. There's so many different aspects to manufacturing. For instance, the composites, we had to figure out how we're going to seal these solar panels, because they're very brittle. They're made of glass, 1/4 millimeter of glass, so they break very easily, and there's not a lot of information on how to seal them in a lightweight manner. So we had to figure that out. We went on a whole one-day course on how to do fiberglass, and we built our own fiberglass car. The aluminium side, we had to learn about all of that. So there's a lot of aspects that we didn't know anything about, and none of us have built cars before, so it was quite tough in that aspect.
The race itself, how do you rate your chances?
Well, we're actually taking a different approach this year. We built our first car, now we're building our second one. We're actually building it as a test platform. We don't have the race experience at all. It's the first time we're entering a solar car. So we're actually building this car so that everything that we put onto this car, we can test thoroughly for our next car. So basically, we want to finish this year. we just want to get through the 5,000 Ks, gather as much information as we can, learn as much as we can, and then punt for 2014, build our next car and take on the world.
I know you say it's a test platform and everybody says that, but is there a little bit of healthy needle between you and your mates down the road at Wits or Potch or elsewhere?
Oh, of course. Everybody hopes that one of their wheels will fall off or something like that, but ultimately we all just want to be there. We want to do as best as we can, and of course we want to beat them.
But besides the fun and rivalry, there's also a serious career advantage in being part of one of the university's Solar Challenge teams.
Certainly in South Africa, I don't think we've had the opportunity to really see what impact it's had. I certainly know that there are students from the teams from previous years that have been offered very, very good jobs, and some of that basis is because of the race. If we look at overseas, though, I can certainly tell you that there are many companies who prefer to have people who've been working on solar teams. For example, I met a person in Australia, and he said to me that he just got a job at Boeing, and one of the things that they said to him in his final interview was that we're talking to you specifically because you are on the solar team of one of the German teams.
It seems that the Sasol Solar Challenge is a win-win situation all the way. It's fun, it's a career move, and it's developing technology that moves us away from our dependence on fossil fuels. Let's wish them all safe racing tomorrow, and may the best team win.